Well, welcome everyone to this webinar, Securely to the Clouds and Beyond. Welcome for taking your time to spend an hour with us on the webinar. We know that customers like you are struggling with delivering great user experience and compliance and agility for the business. So today we're going to learn about merging the networking and security functions in a single managed service and protecting your data, workforce, and applications, regardless of where you are. And we as Conscia aspire to be a long-term partner and will optimize our services to your needs. Therefore, flexibility and choice are important keywords here. And as an important part of that solution to go securely to the cloud and beyond, we're presenting a service by Conscia called Secure SD-WAN as a service. This service provides the best of SD-WAN and SASE. You have the flexibility to pick the right options, etc. Underlay optimized by you using a bandwidth broker service. And of course, managed by Conscia, your network of knowledge, providing the expert knowledge of all networking needs of customers ranging from small to large. But before we go into that, let's do a bit of a housekeeping first. Let me go to the next slide. Yeah, here it is. Before we begin. Yeah, just some housekeeping options. You as a participant are muted by default, and the webinar is being recorded as we mentioned. So a link will be sent out later for the recording, and the PowerPoint will also be distributed later on in the PDF version. If you have a Q&A question during the webinar, please ask them in the Q&A section. It's being monitored, so I'll be pointed to any questions during the presentation. By the end of the presentation, we'll do the Q&A section and we'll go into those questions. So thanks for that. So welcome and introduction to Conscia. So who's speaking? First, I will introduce myself. I'm Johan Kamps. I'm the main presenter for today. I'm a senior product manager for managed services at Conscia Group. Furthermore, we have Fredrik Dahlgren, who is a group of head of cloud services from Conscia Sweden, one of the product owners of this service. Matthias Srv from NIL, he's a business development manager at Conscia Slovenia. He's a product owner as well. And last but not least, Daniel Dip. He's recently recognized again as a Cisco VIP working for Conscia, and he's representing our community of network of knowledge, networking experts. And as a personal note, I really would like to recommend following Daniel on social media as well, especially his Fridays, days of learning. They are really showing the mindset of the people here working at Conscia. So for the attendees not familiar with Conscia, let me do a quick introduction. So Conscia has 20 years of experience in the industry. It is your network of experts, and we'll come back to that as well during the presentation. We provide NOC and SOC services, and of course you'll get a choice of SLAs and the reporting you require. So Conscia has been a Cisco Gold partner for over 14 years, which is really not a long time, and is a Cisco Gold partner in every single country we operate in. So we're based in 6 countries. As you can see in the picture, we're based in the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, of course, Slovenia as well. And from Slovenia, there's something special as well. We're a platinum learning partner for Cisco for almost 30 years. So by any chance, if you followed the Cisco course during the last few years, the last 30 years, you might have had a teacher from NIL Learning in there. So if you talk about network of experts, and we really mean that. As briefly mentioned, we have over 400 engineers working in 6 countries. And of those 400 engineers, more than 100 have a CCIE certificate in that. And if you compare that to a complete size of about 950 people, you're talking about more than 10% of the population at Conscia. So we can definitely say we are based on knowledge and powered by knowledge. And we hold these values of knowledge really high. We have customers both in the private and public sector, and we really hold our values high. Conscia consider itself as the backbone of your business success, and that's translated into our service commitments. So a short slide of our service commitments. And basically, our service commitments are based on the slogan built by experts, supported by experts, and delivered by experts. And we're really conscious that you as a company don't want to be like number 500 at a larger service provider. So we really focus on you as a company, as a customer in our operations. And if you have specific requirements and you want them to be taken in account, I know with larger service providers, it's really difficult to get the attention you need. And at Conscia, we are your flexible partner, so we do that. And so how do we fulfill our service commitments? So one of the key things is that we use automation for that. And we use automation to kind of automate the simpler tasks. So if you call us, your time to engineer, the fast time to engineer will be actually done by that, in that sense that the simple tasks are automated. But if you have a question that's out to simple things, you're really quick into one of our engineers. And this access to engineers is one of the key things. Another thing we really like to stress is the productivity. So if you look at your network and see alarms and issues popping up, we'll notify you proactively based on the data and the screens we're looking at. And of course, we are the experts. So why the focus on experts? I think that's a key point, because it makes all the difference. You always hear the people saying that managed services is good for you as a company, and you have to find a managed service providers to help you with that. But what's the use of getting a managed service provider if they don't have the expertise in-house? And so Conscia's brand is built on having these experts in-house. And of course, there's a downside to that. If we can't be experts in a certain field, we won't go into that field. So you can be assured that if you get services from us in a certain area, we have the experts there to support you with that. So we live by our brand when knowledge counts. So enough about Conscia, and let's move on what's actually happening in the market and in your company as well. So business drivers for Secure SD-WAN. So if you look at this slide, on the left-hand side, it's shown how things used to be in the old days. So how would it work with network and security? So in the old days, all applications would be hosted on-prem. Users would be on a corporate network and had to go through this corporate network and data center to go to the apps. And typically, branch offices would tunnel all the traffic back to the corporate headquarters or the data center over MPLS. And 80% of the traffic in the old days used to be internal. And at the same time, you would have a security stack based on the HQ, guarding all the perimeters and all the data you would have stored in your data center. But for years, this was the most, let's say, most deployed kind of configuration. But over the last 5 years, we've seen a drastic change. And applications are moving to the cloud. Companies are deploying SaaS applications as well, or using SaaS applications as well. And you can see that this cloud adoption really moves forward. And nowadays, the percentage of internet traffic you see at your company is typically higher than the internal traffic. So backhauling all this traffic through expensive MPLS lines doesn't make sense anymore, doesn't cut it anymore. So more and more organizations are moving towards dedicated internet access for locations. And at the same time, this poses a problem because this exposes them to more threats because they bypass traditional security protection. So this means you need a new architecture to kind of address this new situation. And this new architecture, it's called SASE. And if you look at today at SASE in today's cloud-centric world, there's a drive to provide a secure access service on the edge. So SASE is SEASE is pronounced SASE. It's a term coined up by Gartner to describe this architecture, and it's more generally known as the combination of SD-WAN plus security. I'll come back to that later on. So what is SASE? Secure Access Service Edge combines networking and security functions in the cloud to deliver secure access to applications anywhere where users work. So the core functions include stuff like software-defined wide area networking, firewalling as a service, secure web gateways, cloud access security brokers, CASB, zero trust network access. So forget about all these acronyms and terms. This is all about securing your data and at rest and in transit, independent of where your users are and where your applications are. So it integrates this all into a single integrated cloud service. And it helps your organization to combine networking and security functions to deliver secure connectivity as a service, connect users seamlessly from the application and data they need to access, and control access and enforce the right security protection anywhere users work. But I can hear you thinking, Sassy, I got so many challenges in a company to worry about. So don't worry, Conscia is here to help you with keeping your focus. So in your day-to-day challenges in your business, you can see a lot of things that are happening and you have to worry about. The speed of technology is really increasing the stress on your business as well. It's harder to keep up with your IT structure to keep it stable and constantly updating it. And of course, your assurance department is also asking you for guarantees on best security practices. Your production department is challenging you about your predictable downtime as well as predictable cost. Your CPO is doing that, and lots of changes are also happening in your business model, the way of working. So you need control mechanisms for all these changes. And of course, only experts can operate the latest technology, of which you have a lot. It's getting harder to get qualified personnel as well to maintain your IT. So on top of those business issues, your employees want to use their own devices as well in their business context, in the office and where they work. And most of the time, they're not really satisfied if it doesn't work smoothly. So they can't access their apps and can't be productive. And changes would take way longer than they ought to. So in all this mess, I'm challenging you. Do you want to focus on your business? Well, there's a solution for that, and we can help you with that. So that's why selecting your right partner has become an even more tempting solution, more important in staying focused on your business. And this is exactly where Conscia is offering the service to you, Secure SD-WAN as a service, to keep you focused on your business, on your core business, and let us worry about your connectivity, your security posture, and your user experience. So what would be typical business triggers if you have a look at your IT solutions and partners? Let's move into that. So why would it be relevant in your situation? So we see lots of companies adopting a cloud-first strategy. So I mentioned it earlier, moving applications to the cloud. I see also companies struggling for looking at the TCO, especially after COVID. If they're in the way up again, looking at what happened the last 2 years, typically your CPO will ask you, where can we kind of spend less money or have more focus on the business while growing back. If you do acquisitions as a company, geographical spread is sometimes an issue as well, if you are spread across multiple countries. Another thing that might be happening as well is typically, currently, if you use an MPLS network together with connectivity, you're in a lock-in situation with your local telco. And the telco kind of locks you in with combining your active layer and your access layer. And that doesn't help you in your journey towards the cloud. I will come back to that later. You need to kind of break that lock-in situation. And of course, remote workers, they skyrocketed during COVID, but of course that won't be a thing that's going away very soon. That will be keeping you busy as well. And yeah, if you're worried about security of those and how they can securely access their data, yeah, the SD-WAN can help you with that as well, with secure remote access. And of course, application developers are also having a stake right now in pushing applications to the cloud and being enable that. That's all going in a much speedier way than it used to be. And last but not least, IT staffing. I've seen some trends right now in getting people on a right certification level into a company. companies are really struggling to get the right people. So those things I mentioned are typical triggers to look into your IT architecture, networking architecture, and see where you can speed up and maybe save some money at the same time. So it's time for some new IT. So before we go into the description of the secure SD-WAN as a service, I want to have a look at what's currently going on in the industry. And there are some trends that are really helping you with all the issues I just mentioned. So infrastructure is getting cheaper and cheaper, and that's a good thing. You can pick the cheapest bandwidth and internet in all locations, but can you still control the quality of your application? That's the question. So if I compare that to the old days of MPLS being expensive, internet nowadays has a really good reputation and a really good performance. And that's helping you in selecting this new architecture. Another thing is connectivity options. They are increasing. So your workforce and your factories are probably distributed. And your employees are working from home and they use many SaaS applications. If you like it or not, they use Microsoft 365, Salesforce, and any kind of SaaS applications you think of. And if you look at the traditional way of thinking, looking at the traditional way of looking at the network, can you break out that traffic that's aimed at the cloud locally so you can have the maximum performance for the end users? So are you doing that on the right way? So SD-WAN and SASE is a solution there as well. Same goes for security. So can you provide the same level of security everywhere? Can you prove that it is compliant? Can you do that in a compliance report? That's an issue as well. That helps you as well in a new world. Another thing is policies, users' identities. Do you have consistent access policies, user policies, who can access what? Never mind where the employee is. So this is independent of location. This is focused around the employees. And this is a trigger to start with zero trust as well. So these are all things that are happening. So let's move into the drivers for SASE and come back to SASE again. So secure access service edge. So SD-WAN and SASE, as I said, are closely related. In fact, it's the flexibility of SD-WAN that allows and requires security to be treated equally flexible. So you want to have your employees to have secure access, never mind where they are, which location, whichever service they want to use, any service. And if you look closely, you'll see that secure access is provided at the service edge. So that's where the term SASE comes from. So that might be a router at the office, or it might be the AnyConnect client running on a PC or on a user in a coffee shop. And SASE is a framework that provides consistent, strong security throughout the network for all users, any location, any service. And that security contains many different elements, as shown in this box. Partly traditional security techniques through Umbrella, partly the relatively new multi-factor authentication through Duo. And of course, there are more multiple multi-factor authentication options nowadays. So note that for our services, Duo is not included by default in the service, because we also recognize that some companies use Microsoft for that. So we're flexible in that sense. So everything before SASE was, one, deploy security mechanism and route all traffic through this machinery. And SASE allows us to bring the security functions where it's needed. So it focuses on the places where security is needed without rerouting. That improves the bandwidth and delay and performance. It adds flexibility and a consistency to our services. So yes, for modern network architecture, SASE is very important. Is a very important component, and this is why we include it into our service. So let's move on to the secure SD-WAN as a service. So Conscia offers this new innovative service called Secure SD-WAN as a service. So we have like 400 top-level engineers at your disposal to help you select the services you need. So Conscia is your network of knowledge. For the underlay, that's the second part. I was talking about this lock-in that most service providers have. We use a completely independent bandwidth broker for that, to find the best suited and cheapest bandwidth options for all your locations. So we can help you with providing the best access, the best option for your locations. And on top of that underlay on that baseline, we create a custom-made SD-WAN network according to our specification. And of course, we'll do the specification together with you. This allows your employees to work from any location, access application any location with a consistent policy. And then the SASE component. It provides for this any location, any transport network in a consistent security policy. It's really important to have this consistency in security. And to increase security even further, Zero Trust validates users and the devices every time they access. The entire industry is heading this way. Everybody is talking about SD-WAN and SASE, but Conscia helps you pick the right options and provide the flexibility you need. So this is the baseline picture, and let's expand on what's behind these blocks and what we're actually offering. So starting with the foundation, the underlay. So what's behind the underlay? So in many SD-WAN offers, you'll find yourself locked in with a particular service providers for the underlay. So service providers in general combine this underlay with an active layer. And what we do is we give you the independency. You give the independency of service providers to find the best options for you per site. We use a connectivity broker for that. I'll come back to that later on to get you the best connectivity deal for your network. So the net result is that you get the best value for money, specifically tailored to your needs. We go through your sites, determine which type of connectivity you need, which kind of redundancy you need. So do you need fiber access? Do you need LTE or 5G, 4G backup? And all this information goes to our connectivity broker and will present you with a number of options in which you can pick the best that suits you. For instance, looking at a per country option, a regional option, or global option. And you can choose which kind of model you deal best with. And what we can also do is once you've selected this underlay, we can manage these ISP lines for you if required. And that's typically a differentiator for most other companies that can provide access, but don't help you with managing all these service providers. We can help you with that. So now that the fundamental things, the underlay is in place, it's time to consider the network service. So behind the network service is an SD-WAN solution. It's fairly obvious after repeating this like 20 times already. As mentioned before, SD-WAN provides the maximum flexibility and consistency across the several underlay options we just saw. So in our secure SD-WAN as a service, we give you the choice between two solution lines, Meraki or Viptela. And they are both providing SD-WAN solution. So I'm going to expand on how to make the solution later on in the deck, in the next section. But this choice essentially depends on your already existing infrastructure, the number of VPNs or complexity you require to be handled, and possibly specific features you might need. So then we go through a list of sites and decide together which connectivity options and which redundancy you require, and that will decide on the needed hardware platform. So from a feature point of view, you can then choose between different SD-WAN licensing, where we propose essentially the existing Cisco SD-WAN licensing scheme. I'll come back to this selection process later on. So next up, security. Security is bundled under the keyword SASE, and as previously explained, SASE and SD-WAN complement each other beautifully. So what does SASE actually stand for? SASE provides consistent security, and it offers a number of features which are included in the license. So you can have firewalls, IPS, URL filtering, proxy, umbrella DNS monitoring, etc. And there's some other optional things as well, provided in the end user SIG essentials. So again, we'll discuss this detailed options on licensing, etc. in the next section. Let's move on to identity, zero trust. Last but not least, the identity part. Remember, in the old world, you would have an entirely different level of access depending on where you were, if you were in a secure office or somewhere working from home or somewhere remote. So that's changing right now. Nowadays, we use zero trust security to tie your concept of SD-WAN and SASE together. Never mind where you are or where your users are, it gets the same device verification and the same authentication and the same access rights. And the default is always and everywhere zero trust. So the Cisco AnyConnect client, we use that as an important component to deliver the zero trust model. So how would the process of selecting the right solution for your work in practice? I'll give you a guide through step by step in the options here. So I was speaking about this choice between Meraki and Viptela. I think it's one of the most important choices here. And the headline is Meraki or Viptela, but it's really more than just a name. There's a different philosophy between these two options, between these two solutions provided by Cisco. And this is why it is your first choice. You probably know that both Meraki and Viptela have been acquisitions made by Cisco in 2012 and 2017. And this illustrates that the solutions really have been developed independently with a different target market in mind. So the Meraki solution is more focused on small and mid-sized customers that require a more standardized cookie cutter designs and little or no customizations. In Meraki, you can only have a single virtual network, and it only supports basic WAN topologies, hub and spoke and full mesh. So if you already have some Meraki equipment in use, or in the LAN or elsewhere, this is probably your best choice. And the Meraki solution has been proven robust and stable for many customers already. So if I'm saying cookie cutter or small and medium enterprise, it doesn't mean that it's exclusively for that segment. In our opinion, it's really a professional solution that fits more customers than you probably think of. On the other hand, we have the Cisco Viptela solution, or Cisco SD-WAN, they call it nowadays. That's targeted at more the mid to large company size and service providers. It allows for more flexibility, more VPNs, it has more features, etc., and more customization possibilities. So as you might have guessed, the greater flexibility and feature sets also have a bigger price tag. So it's a difference in those two. So I can imagine it's not immediately obvious to you which of these two choices is right for you. And there, Conscia can take you through these to the details and help you with the decision-making process. Sorry. There's an upside to choosing Meraki as well, and I I call it the secret sauce in this. Specifically at Conscia, we've developed some really nice extras or unique extras if you would choose the Meraki solution. There's an added bonus in that. So we implemented our own solution to make the Meraki experience even better. And it's it's our own intellectual property within Conscia. We created a centralized managed platform and added some really intelligent automation, and even created an app for more efficient zero knowledge deployment. So anyone basically could deploy a Meraki endpoint at a location. And this kind of added on the secret sauce. This makes the Conscia design, built and operated Meraki solution even more unique than many others, providing customers with much more value add, just like you need. And we'll come back to that on the customer reference cases. So this is the extra if you would choose a Meraki. But of course, we can do both. We can do Viptela as well. So let's move back to the second choice to make, the underlay. We're using a partner called Advantage CG. It's an independent connectivity broker, and it has access to providers all over the world. I think the current catalog has like 1,500 service providers they deal with currently, and they can provide you with any kind of connectivity need you would have: network diversity, connectivity options, fiber routes, etc. Anything you can imagine, they are able to provide. They have contacts all over the world, so even the difficult regions like China, Russia, we're able to provide connectivity there, and we have all kind of options in there. Most SD-WAN providers don't offer this flexibility. So most SD-WAN providers kind of combine their their local connectivity or their preferred expensive connectivity, and yeah, then you're stuck with what they're offering in connectivity in a certain country. That's not the case with us. So you're really flexible to the extreme while using this. So I'd really like to recommend, if you currently have a contract with an SD-WAN provider, with a service provider, please have a look at the contracts and ask yourself the question, do I really have the optimized connectivity that I need in certain countries all across the world? So let's look at the features. So basically, we've just followed the Cisco licensing features for both platforms, and we're following the standard Cisco license tier. So the basic licenses are included, but if you need more features, we can just add them to it. And so the schemes, the licensing schemes, are fundamentally based on the number of sites, and with optional the number of users if you want to add some user-based security options as well. But let's talk about features and technology. Let's talk about the interaction with Conscia. So if you're thinking after this seminar, after this webinar, well, this is interesting, let's talk further with an account manager, etc., and you move into the area of looking at proving if it is right for you. We usually work in a number of steps. We go through a proof of concept or pilot phase, and then look at the full implementation. So before we can make the choice between Meraki and Viptela, we will jointly do that. We move into the proof of concept stage, do a pilot with you, just making sure that you recognize the value we're providing with the solution, and if you don't see the value, it stops there. We're not like you have to sign a contract and then that's it. We'll take you through this step by step, and we're convinced that by doing these steps, we can show you the value of this service and move on towards the next step. So in the next step, of course, the implementation starts, and during the implementation, we use project management, of course, in a professional way to implement the solution. So in the operational phase, we're providing a single point of contact using a service manager, and of course, we also assign a service engineer for you. And of course, we have this OneNOC service that helps you with that. OneNOC is a concept that's used within Conscia, connecting all the NOCs in all the countries. And basically, we're able to offer all kinds of service windows you need, and up to 24/7 eyes on screen if you need it. So we're really flexible in helping you focusing the service you need to the location you need, or the services you need to the type of company you are. So for instance, if you're a retail company, extended office hours or expanded retail hours most likely will fit into the 16/6 kind of way of working. And if you're like a 24/7 manufacturing company, I'm sure you want to have 24/7 eyes on screen kind of service. So we're able to provide that with our NOC and SOC service as well. So we can differentiate in service levels. So talking about service levels, what's included and what's not. So basically, we have a number of tiers that we include into our service. So the standard service is mostly best described as a kind of monitor and support service. It contains monitoring of the network. You can read it through easily. When we send the PowerPoint, it's too much text, I understand. So the basic service is mostly focused on monitoring and support. It contains monitoring of the network and alarming, and in the case of issues, we will contact you, and of course you'll get monthly reports summarizing all the KPIs we agreed upon, and we will provide a detailed insight into your services. So if you go to the next levels, we can also manage your connectivity, your ISP lines, as I just mentioned. If there are any incidents on the location, we can contact your service provider for that, and we'll manage the incidents for you. And on the highest level, at the top level, it's called advanced. We can add maximum flexibility in operating the network. So we include changes and upgrades in that as well. So these service levels define what can be done, but you can also decide when you require support, as I showed in the previous page. And if you need service or help that's not included in the package, of course we can always do that separately, because we're an engineering company, and we know all about your network, and that's where the fun part starts. So we're talking a lot about features and a lot about the technologies, business drivers, etc. I think the most important thing is, of course, our customers. So we have two customer cases in which customer kind of express their feelings or experience with us. And for those two cases, I'll hand over to Fredrik in Sweden, who will lead us through those two customer cases. I have to click the next slide. Sorry for that. So the first one, Anticimex. Up to you, Fredrik.
Thank you, Johan. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, let's take a look at two customer cases. And like Johan said, let's start with Anticimex. So the pest control company Anticimex is a global group. It has 74 offices in 18 countries. So about half a year ago, maybe longer now, they switched to Conscia as a network provider. And according to Anticimex, they got rid of the downtime. And how is that really possible? And how did we do it? And this is possible because Conscia solution consists of a high degree of monitoring and automation. And the Conscia automated response agent, Cara, that's Conscia's own intellectual property, handles almost all the first and second line of support. Everything they're doing almost is handled by Cara then. This cuts SLA times dramatically and basically enables the change in the SLA from TTS, or time to start in tickets, to TTE, or time to experts in tickets, because the time to start is already solved by automation. So our automation does the initial checks and tests like ping and trace route and so on. And this is done within seconds. And it also enriches the tickets with information before it's either solves and closes the ticket, or send it to an expert in the service desk. And as I said, this almost entirely removes the need for first and second line of support. And by that, make the use of experts in the support financially possible. And also interesting for the experts, because we remove most of the repetitive and, to be honest, boring work from the experts. So then it's possible to use them in the support. So according to Anticimex, the combination of a highly automated solution and experts in the support has made downtime almost non-existent for them. So you can change one.
Yep. There we go.
The second customer case we were thinking of talking about is Rexel. And Rexel is one of the largest electricity wholesale groups in the world. In Sweden, the business consists of two wholesale chains, Storiel and Selga. They have 70 different locations in Sweden, including warehouses, offices, retail stores, and so on. So what's special about this SD-WAN project is that it was pretty tight in the time schedule. So it was tight when we needed to be done with the rollout of the SD-WAN, according to different reasons. So during this rollout of the SD-WAN solution, Conscia used an app to speed up onboarding and cut down the installation costs. This app, called Conscia Connect, makes the need for geographical presence IT staff almost non-existent. All the local work is done by local installation firms. And with this solution, Conscia can roll out many SD-WAN sites a day. So the SD-WAN project more becomes a logistic project than a technical project. Of course, after the initial design phase. So according to Rexel, this solution is noticeable in the company's productivity. So this because Rexel can maintain significantly higher productivity into its branches, as the problems that arise can be solved much faster thanks to the high degree of automation and the use of experts in the support. And also some problems even can be foreseen today and solved before they even become a real problem for the business. And this is thanks to the data that we can use by the using of the automation. Giving Rexel proactivity, and by giving them proactivity, also giving them stability. So the combination of a highly automated solution and experts in the support combined with productivity, is a winning combination for the customer and also for the customer productivity, according to Rexel. So by that, I'm handing it back to you, Johan.
Yeah, thanks. I'm always really proud about these customers explaining to us what they really like about us.
Yes.
By the way, both cases are also to be found on the Conscia.com webpage on SD-WAN as a reference case, so you can read through them and look at the quotes from the people. This is what it's really all about: having really happy customers, happy employees, and solving their issues, and keeping the focus on the business, as I said earlier. Okay, time to slow down, do a recap, and move into the Q&A. So, looking at the benefits, we spoke about the underlay. It can be customized to your specific needs, allowing you to benefit from the inexpensive services, just as fiber to the home and the office and other connectivity available to you. And we provide the flexibility to use any infrastructure in any ISP, as opposed to more traditional service providers. Then the promise of SD-WAN. Flexible work locations, flexible application access, manage any transport on top of the underlay. And it really means that independent of your location, the connectivity to your applications in the cloud or anywhere is optimized, whether it is your data center or the SaaS services, whether it is Google Docs or Salesforce, or your own infrastructure and one of the big service cloud providers. Doesn't matter anymore where you are or where your applications are. And thirdly, with all the flexibility in the network, it becomes important that never mind where you are, never mind where your apps are, that you get consistent security everywhere, and that you can then demonstrate this in your compliance reports. And this is the promise of SASE, the Secure Access Service Edge. And for each user individually, you can enforce a consistent policy. Never mind where the user is physically located, you can easily enforce multi-factor authentication and single trust. And the Conscia Service Management, with its one knock, gives you the freedom to focus on your own business. And you get all the reports you need. You have the expert support when you need it. And remember that Conscia prides itself on this short time to expert, as mentioned by Frederick, and that has seen as a bonus by our customers as well. So we hope that this introduction kind of convinced you of the advantages of the Secure SD-WAN service by Conscia. And we're of course here to answer any additional questions you may have, and hope to count on you to add you to our broad scope on happy customers, and maybe quickly reflect on our service commitments. Built by experts, supported by experts, and delivered by experts of Conscia. And with that, I would propose to move to our Q&A section. And of course, myself, Frederick, Matthias, and Daniel are ready to answer any questions you have. So, Matthias, did we have any questions via chat?
Yes, I got some questions. I already answered those questions that are
great.
there. So yeah. So if you have any, you can raise your hand or put the comment in the Q&A or in the chat, wherever, and we can answer it directly now.
Yeah. And don't forget about Daniel. He's one of the super experts we have in the call.
Yep.
So since I'm in presentation mode, I can't see the questions in my screen. So we have to help me if there are any questions.
I think I have another question from Blaž. If there is a question, for example, if the SD-WAN would solve the problem of sending files from one company to another connected via SD-WAN, both sites, files that are about 500 megabytes or so. Actually, SD-WAN, the idea of SD-WAN is to have the protected WAN, so within the company. So probably the SD-WAN is not intended for communication between different companies. So, but of course, since you don't need to send that traffic to the central side, if you have the local breakout, so that you have direct access to the internet on every side, then you don't need to send that traffic to the headquarter, and that means that file transfer would be faster than through the headquarter.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully I answered the question of Blaž. Okay.
Any more questions popping up?
Any more questions from?
Yeah, or reactions or what?
We have one more question from Gear. How can SD-WAN support IoT scenario?
IoT scenario in terms of having devices all around. I mean, on one side, it's a protected environment, so you have access to protected access to all those sites, and at the same time the IoT devices can have direct internet access to let's say if they need to have, let's say, like upgrades of software or whatever. So we can do both things in the same with the same technologies. So the internet access and at the same time protected connectivity between, let's say, headquarter and those IoT devices. That's the idea, and of course use the SASE model with with protection in the cloud as a protected way. There's another question from Blaž. Oh no, it's not. Do we have any other question maybe?
Yes, I'll just post it into the chat so you will see it.
Mm-hmm. So there's a question from Blaž. Considering to connect 5 companies where one company would be main server, so other companies would have any more local servers so they can communicate to the main server large. So I understand that those companies are somehow interconnected, so they are, let's say, somehow this is the protected way how they communicate. So either we can consider those companies as different sites let's say within larger group or something like that. Let's say similar to how Conscia is built in different countries. And then, of course, the SD-WAN is similar to WAN in terms of sending traffic between one site to another site. But the beauty of SD-WAN is that it allows you to migrate slowly into the cloud. So you have both options: users accessing the cloud and applications in the cloud, or the data center which is already part in the cloud. And you can have let's say a small short easy migration from let's say applications which are in your data center and are slightly migrating into the cloud. So this is the beauty of having SD-WAN.
Yeah, maybe to add to that, Matthias, what I see is that companies that are kind of merging or working together use the cloud more and more. So they create a shared working environment in the cloud where the files are stored. And then cloud access and cloud performance is key. So SD-WAN helps you in your cloud performance. So the modern way of working is having that data in your secure cloud environment with any provider, and not transferring all this big data anymore between companies, but just keeping it there at rest and protecting it there, and making sure you have optimized access to your data in the cloud. So that's where SASE fits in as well. But it's just an example. If you have a specific case in that sense, yeah, please contact me afterwards or your local account manager, and we can help you with that. Because apart from secure SD-WAN as a service, we have many options and many engineering capabilities to help you with any solutions, right? And in the field of networking solutions. But I think SASE in this sense is really revolutionary if you have a large geographical spread, this cloud strategy in which you use to store your data in the cloud or in your private environment in the cloud, and you need speedy access, performant access to that application. That's where SASE and SD-WAN really fit in with one security profile. Yeah. Just to add to the remark of Matthias.
So Blaž will be in contact. So please just contact me and we can discuss about your existing
really helped
requirement.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, happy to help. Yeah. So maybe a quick question about expectations. Was this what you expected from an engineering company? I know marketing department always tells me about five lines and 5 words per slide, but I didn't manage that because I had so much information to tell. Hopefully this fits into your expectations. And if you have any questions or things you would like to ask, you can do it now. But if you're unsure about asking it now, or you want to do it privately, just contact me or your local account manager for anything you need.